How does your collab with BTS happen?
It changed everything. I'm gonna get emotional.
Give it up for Max, actor and singer and songwriter, here to perform Lights Down Low.
You guys want to try writing a song for BTS?
You put out some of the most viral and listened to covers on YouTube. It's insane.
Zendaya was in this room. Ariana Grande, Liz Gillies.
How is it like working with Kiki Palmer?
The best. Oh, she is such a queen. I give Suga so much credit. He just saw me. Jungkook got really sick that day and was like in the hospital. He could have anybody on his songs. So the fact that he asked me and took that chance on me.
What did a collab with BTS do for you in your career? Well, how exciting! Because today I've been really excited for this interview in particular, Max.
Ooh, really?
You are someone I've wanted to talk to for a while now.
Wow, honored.
And I'm
brother.
super excited to be able to have the chance to chat with you.
Same, man.
You've been a part of our childhoods.
Yes.
You've been, and now are a part of our adulthoods.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to go through your story. You know, when I started this series, one of my main goals was to shine a light on the people and stories behind music, movies, and media.
Yes.
You fit that completely. Recently, though, that mission has kind of changed to inspire every underdog to go for it.
Love that. Yes.
So my hope is maybe we could inspire maybe one person out there who's watching this right now.
I love that. What a great goal for this kind of series, you know?
Incredible.
Fantastic.
So one of my favorite parts of your story is where it starts. Tell me how you got into music.
How I got into music. Well, we were talking about it earlier. I grew up in Hell's Kitchen, New York City. So it's just kind of surrounding me. You know, you get on the subway and I had my little ukulele and I would busk in Central Park and busk on the subway. And that was definitely the...
What kind of songs were you singing?
Oh my gosh. I was singing... Funny enough, I was singing like Billie Jean by Michael Jackson on the ukulele.
Wow.
I was singing Billy Joel songs. I was a big musical theater Broadway guy. So it's all over the place with the songs we were singing. Making up songs. Yeah, it was good.
So you're busking, you're playing songs. How'd you end up on Broadway? That's just incredible to me.
Well, I did a lot of theater growing up, and I went to like a theater camp called Frenchwoods. Shout out to Frenchwoods, really shaped my life. And at that time, I was always auditioning for things, and I got the 13 with Ariana Grande, Liz Gillies, amazing cast, and it was speaking of Underdog, I was a swing, it's called. So I understudied. I think I understudied four roles. Yeah. So, I was in the basement of the theater every night and my first show, another guy lost his voice and I just went on mid-show. That was my first Broadway show, was mid-show, threw on all my clothes and got up there.
That's incredible.
Yeah, man. So Broadway forever.
Swings, for people who don't know, swings is it's safe to say it's one of the hardest jobs because you have to know so many parts, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. The hardest part is the big dance numbers you see if you've ever seen a Broadway show or whatever else. Remembering how you don't run into somebody. It doesn't seem like it's so smooth on stage, but remembering which track you're doing. So if you're playing one character, they run diagonal here, then they go down here. The actual choreography of making sure you don't screw up a musical number. And then I played 2 different characters in 1 week, one time.
Wow.
And that I will never forget how difficult it was to remind myself it's Simon's track, not the other character's track, and not to go to the wrong spot on stage. That was nerve-wracking.
So you're in, by the way, 13, I remember hearing 13 because I'm Jewish and I've never heard like a musical about like bar mitzvahs. Like, that was crazy to me at the time. But also who you said was in that is also insane. Like you 3 all end up on Nickelodeon. It's you, Ariana Grande, and Liz Gillies.
Yep. I don't know why. Just the universe has a wild plan. It was crazy.
How was it like to be in a cast with them at the time?
It was great. Everybody in the cast was so talented. I think we all felt like we were part of something that felt like such a pioneer experience. It was all teenagers in this cast. We all were in a little school together. Like we would do school tutoring on set every Thursday, I think it was. So we had our own little classroom and then we're in this show together and the band is all also teenagers. It was just unlike anything anybody had ever experienced. And then we're on Broadway. It just felt kind of like, wow, they're letting us have the reins to this whole show. There were no like adults. I was the second oldest, I think, in the show.
Wow.
So it was wild to be that big brother role in an environment when I was only 16 at the time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So there's a few videos of you from 13 that are out on YouTube right now.
Oh, yeah.
But my question is, how do you go from is there also anything before 13? I remember hearing something about like modeling and Madonna.
That was after 13. Yeah. I did that a little bit after. The only thing before 13 was I was on Law and Order SVU. That was my first gig ever, was being a guest star on that TV show.
That seems like a thing a lot of actors do, is to go on Law and Order SVU.
Especially New York. Growing up in New York, everybody I went to school with, that's sort of the staple. If you're a local person in New York, you might be on a Law and Order. That felt like the vibe. Yep.
So when does Nickelodeon come into play?
Nickelodeon, I was in college. I was at NYU, and right before I got like a movie, so I went on a leave of absence. I was a small part in a movie, and I had always auditioned for Nickelodeon, but never the right project necessarily. Mm-hmm. And Rags was the first audition I went on, and
wow.
And I, like I said earlier, I always had my little ukulele, and Short King, shout out, and I was always going to the auditions with it, and they told me not to go to that audition with the ukulele because it was this hip hop musical, and I don't know why I didn't listen at the time. I was just like, you know what, I bring it to everything. It's just kind of my thing. So if they don't want me to use it, I just won't. And they wrote it into the whole movie, which was really cool that was not a part of it and that they really embraced me. But that's how Nickelodeon got in the picture. I had just like taken this leave of absence from college. I was kind of a little lost after I did this movie that I left for. And yeah, I did that audition and it changed my life.
So they tell you not to bring the ukulele. Something inside of you says, no.
Yes.
I'm going to bring it. Mm-hmm. And you brought it. And I would argue that like if they wrote it in for the movie for you, you having the ukulele probably showed them like, hey, this is the right person for this role.
100%. It was awesome. Incredible. And looking back now, what a wonderful way to put real soul into that piece. Because even though it was a kid's movie and it's a musical, I feel like I still am really proud of it because it had a lot of heart. A lot of people a part of it. It was one of the most magical experiences I've ever had because everybody really cared. And I had my birthday on the set. I'll never forget that Isaiah Mustafa, he was the iconic Old Spice guy who was like, I'm on a horse. And he was the dad in the movie. And I turned 19 on that set, and it was a double shoot that day. And in the middle of the night, we were shooting the masquerade scene. There were like hundreds of people there. And he comes out and he's like, hello, ladies, which was his main line from that commercial. And he's like, it's a very special birthday today. And man, my dreams are coming true.
Just
I was
on
like,
set?
I look, he was like my hero, and it's birthday on set on Rags. And so, yeah, it was really cool that movie had so much heart and people really celebrated each other. So I think that's why hopefully it still means something to people.
Definitely. So I come from like the Drake and Josh days, the iCarly days.
Yes, of course.
So I didn't get the chance to watch Rags.
You were right after, or before.
I was right before, but I watched it. I rewatched it. I watched it with my mom actually.
Oh, really?
Before this interview.
Wow.
And so I got ready. I remember seeing it. It's a fun movie. It's a really fun movie.
It is fun.
How was it like working with Kiki Palmer?
The best. Oh, she is such a queen. I love that experience. She's the same person now that she was then. She's just evolved, obviously. But she's so honest. She's so authentic.
Yeah.
And I remember that she had kind of a rough experience on a past set in this romantic setting right before we did the movie. And one of the first conversations we had was about, let's make this real and be respectful of each other, and like, let's be really close and good friends. And all the kissing scenes, both our boyfriend and girlfriend at the time were on set together watching the kissing scenes. And I just remember it was like so comfortable, and
that's great.
She was such a professional to be that way. So I adore her. I'm really glad. We actually have an unreleased song that I've been teasing because it's been so long. We've had it forever, but it's one of those songs that's always kind of lasted. And I've played it for fans on my VIPs and stuff. So, maybe it'll come out soon. We'll see.
It's one people like.
Yeah, it seems I always like on these, I do these VIPs on my tour bus, on certain tours when we have a bus, and I just play them unreleased music. And that's always just a song that I want. Maybe you guys will like this one. And it's been a fan favorite for a while. So
that's awesome.
Hopefully I can put it out into the world soon.
So in Rags, I had one thing about the movie where I was like, why? I feel like they left a plot hole.
Where's the plot hole? Tell me. Yes.
So I don't know if this was just me, but in the movie, there's like this whole part about you going to a pawn shop trying to get this piano, right?
Yes.
You're saving up money for this piano. And like me and my mom are sitting there and we're waiting for them to bring out the piano at the end of the movie to be like, I got you the piano. Here it is. And it never comes up.
You're right. How incredible. The lore of this movie, it's spectacular. You don't think about it when you're on the set. You don't think that this will become a thing. And yet I forget, it's crazy that I forget, but there's a line in it where it's like, you'll be able to get this by like 2021 or something.
Yeah.
And I got so many tweets in 2021 being like, did you get your piano finally? Of course. But I think I'm remembering this correctly. There was a song that they cut, which was one of my favorite songs in the whole thing. And there was a scene where I was playing the piano and singing that song. And I think that was supposed to be like the end credits or the after the movie, and they just cut it. And I wonder if the executives realized that this would become such lore because they cut that scene and that song. So that might be the answer to your question. I'm pretty sure that like the credits were supposed to be me singing the song with the piano to sort of insinuate that I had gotten the piano. But also, it's nice to have, it's like Sopranos, you know, not to compare Rags to Sopranos, but sometimes we want unanswered questions, you know?
For sure. Well, the one thing I will say is like there is a part where you guys are playing the piano in the store again at the end, which is awesome. But I brought this for you just in case, just to fill it out.
You're so in depth. I love it, dude.
This
Incredible. Oh my God. Let me
it's
see.
you and Kiki playing.
Oh, of course. Oh, I know it. Of
the
course.
Piano.
Gosh, the best.
So you could have
Best,
it.
baby. Thank you.
The piano would be delivered back to you.
I'm so honored, man. It's funny. My parents do have this poster printed in the house. It's very cute that they have it. But yeah, no, that was such a great time, great scene. I loved the pawn shop that they did. So much heart, really a lot of heart. And I've not always experienced that with every project I've done. So I really, every time I get reminded of this, it reminds me what it takes to have something really last in people's hearts.
Amazing.
So thank you for this.
Of course.
Kiss.
You're playing songs from Rags too, right?
Yeah, I didn't for a long time because I think that I felt kind of boxed in.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who's sort of, I talked to a lot of friends of mine who have been a part of, you know, Nickelodeon or Disney or anything that they just feel like they're sort of defined by. And I think it took me a lot of therapy and a lot of time to just feel like it's a part of me and it doesn't limit me and there's more and you just have to keep enjoying it. And it's just like, I compare it to Bieber singing Baby. It's like, he's evolved so much, but the fans want a little baby at the show, you know? So I do a little bit of Rags to give love to those. Yeah, to give love to those who have been with me since then, if they have. So of course.
Which is your favorite song to sing from the show now?
Oh, Someday is just the one, you know? And it's fun because most people, I love, you know, I say this a lot, but the fact that the line is, I follow my dreams.
Oh, it's great.
I've really embraced that more and more recently because what a great line in a song to kind of be known for in a nostalgic way because it's true. That's how I feel. I'm really embodying the life of this song that has really just traveled with me throughout time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So after Rags comes How to Rock, right?
They were both the same time, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, we shot them both at the same time. And that was cool too. How to Rock was great. You know, love the cast. I still hang out with a lot of the cast.
Awesome.
Different feeling though. Obviously, I know there's a lot of How to Rock fans out there, but there was a different magic to Rags than I think. With How to Rock, we were all really tight and it was a great cast. But I did get my first songwriting credit in that show though. I asked to be a part of the writing because I was like, can I at least be giving it a shot? You know, like I don't have to be getting the songs, but I'd like to have the opportunity. So they let me be a part of that. And that was my first experience. I wrote 20 songs for that show and they ended up taking one, which I sing in it called Last One Standing with Symphonique. And that was a cool experience to get into the writing world in LA.
Was that kind of your first placement in a sense then?
Yeah, first placement. That was it.
That's big.
On that show. Yeah.
That's huge,
It was awesome. It was nice just to take the shot to say it's not guaranteed, but who's writing these songs and because I didn't write any of the songs in Rags. There was by the way, Darkchild did the entire soundtrack. That's why it's so good because he's an icon and his whole team. And I think like Money Long did some songs in it. I found out recently, like some incredible songwriters did the songs in that movie. But How to Rock, I just was like, how can I try to be a part of this?
Amazing. So you're with Nickelodeon.
Yes.
But there's a point in time where you say to yourself, no, I want to be an artist. I'm done acting. Is that right?
Yeah, I put out an EP when I was like 15, like on my own, called First Encounters. It was my full name, Max Schneider, not just Max. And music, honestly, I did all the acting because I just wanted to do music. I feel like I wasn't really as confident at the time. And I had done the musical theater thing, so I felt like it's a great vehicle for the music.
Definitely.
And then I got out of those shows. I was shelved in a record label deal where I couldn't release any of my own music. So I did all these covers on YouTube and all that stuff. I'm sure you're gonna get to that. but that was I had always wanted to be an artist, and then it just really was just the confidence of like, if I don't start after Nickelodeon, if I don't start now, when am I gonna do it? You know?
True.
I've been waiting so long.
So you're shelved on a record label.
Yes.
With Nickelodeon.
Yes.
And you put out some of the most viral and listened to covers on YouTube. It's insane. Tell me about making those.
It was awesome, man. You're sitting in a room where I did a lot of those. You know, it was so special. I met my friend Kurt Schneider. We're not related. Everybody thinks we are. I know. I hate to burst your bubble, but we basically were brothers. He would come over. We would record a cover. We'd shoot it in the house.
Amazing.
And it was really special because we had all the power and control over that. We could do that whenever we wanted.
Yeah.
We had creative freedom. And again, at the time being shelved by this record label, I wasn't allowed to do a lot of stuff. So this was the one loophole that I really got to explore, you know, making our own content. And in early days of just having, you know, shout out to Manny Figueroa. He was just with his Steadicam in the back here with 3 of us. It was like nice skeleton crews making our own videos.
Yeah, It seemed like a lot of Nick stars and even some Disney stars were a part of it.
Yeah. Zendaya was in this room. We did like All of Me, the cover of John Legend. We did
incredible.
Ton of Victoria Justice and I, you know, it was awesome. A lot of people in the same space of me, I feel like they wanted some creative freedom too. So it sort of became this world where we all could just like express ourselves, not in boundaries maybe set out by these bigger companies we were working with.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it gives you creative freedom to make this music that you want to, and also gives you some experimentation to try out different songs for, I'm guessing, the songwriting. But you're songwriting throughout this entire process too,
I'm
right?
songwriting throughout the entire process, which was awesome. I ended up getting a show. Funny enough, speaking of Zendaya, it was on her show. What was it? What was the song called? Yeah, it was on Shake It Up. But the song was like, Show You How to Do. I forget. I don't know if it's at the top of my discography, but it was cool that some of these songs that I was writing towards Nickelodeon then started going to other artists. And that was my first experiences of getting cuts other places, which was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you get a cut on Shake It Up, which is incredible.
Yeah, it was awesome.
These cuts, though, those are considered sync, right? Right?
I guess so. Yeah, they're considered sync exactly because they're on TV shows. Yeah. At the time, I didn't even really think about it like that, but they were. Yeah, they were syncs.
That's great. Because at the time, like, not only are you doing covers, but you're also going on tour with Victoria, right?
Yeah. First tour ever was with Victoria. My parents came on it. It was crazy.
That's incredible.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
It was great. Yeah, no, we had a great time. At the time, we both were doing the covers. We were getting close, and she asked me to go on tour, and yeah, it was an incredible experience getting to, I think that's where I started really getting addicted to playing live and falling in love with live shows. And it was incredible.
Yeah, you've really, it seemed like, built this community of fans. People, I think a lot of people in the digital streaming age have figured out ways to go viral, but they haven't necessarily figured out ways to build community. And I feel like that's what you've done very well as an artist.
That means a lot, man. That's the most important to me. So thank you for saying that.
How did you go about building a community as an artist?
It's just human. I think we get lost in so many people being caught up in the numbers. And I think that you have to visualize those numbers are humans. Those are people. And don't you want to connect with those people? And I think it's really special. I have some fans that have been to 30 live shows and I try to treat that fan with the same respect as someone whose first show it is. And I just want them to feel welcomed and, you know, appreciated and free. That's the biggest part of the community I'm trying to build, of people just feeling that they can be themselves and that there's no restraints to coming to a live show or being a part of the community. Because I didn't really have that growing up, so it's special to try to form that.
So you're going on tour during this time. You're building a community. You're building a fan base. How long until Lights Down Low comes?
Ooh, great question. Lights Down Low was probably, it was a few years after, honestly, because I met my wife and I wrote that song and proposed to her with that song.
Wow.
That was really instrumental for me because I had done other songs. Like I had a song called Gibberish that came out before Lights Down Low, which was fun. It was a great song, and I still work with Sean Douglas, who wrote it and everything. But it didn't have the same heart in it. You know, it's still, a lot of people come to my shows and say justice for Gibberish and want me to play it more. So we'll see. We'll get there. But yeah, Lights Down Low was the second I met her. She changed everything for me, and that was the first song that I wrote for her.
Incredible.
So I guess that was like 4 years later.
I think a lot of people have a difficult time figuring out how to propose.
Yeah,
you did it in probably the best way possible.
I don't know
made
about that. Just whatever's authentic to you, you know.
What did you end up doing for the proposal?
We always joked about I don't know why we did, but we joked about having this dream world where we'd wake up on the Italian coast and there'd be chocolates on our pillows and a harp player would be waking us up every morning. So I hired a harp player and we sang Lights Down Low to her at our first date spot in Chicago. And my parents like flew in the ring and were there and they were in the corner of the room. And it was really special. Our mutual best friend, who's the godmother of my daughter, Katie, she arranged it all, and it was really cute. We just had it at the first date spot.
Incredible.
It was great.
Lights Down Low was my first introduction to you. I think a lot of people's first introductions to you.
Yeah, definitely.
How'd you write that song?
I was with Nat and Liam, my boys. Nat from 303, who a lot of people don't know that, absolute icon.
Wow.
And Liam O'Donnell. And we got together, man, and it's so funny because it's such an intense love song. And my whole experience with it was we were cracking jokes all the time writing that song and doing different keys. And man, that song was such a journey. It started off called Black Ink, it was called, and then became Lights Down Low because that was the main line. And man, what an incredible experience to just form that with them together, and then really bring the heart to it by bring it to my wife. And then she brought it to life. You know, the song can only be so much until the story gets really poured into it. So that just happened. And I think the best things in my life have just kind of happened. And that's something that I need to keep learning.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What did the Ooze come first, or did?
Well, the guys had a really interesting structure already. That's why it was called Black Ink. They had started this idea called Black Ink. And I listened to the song and I heard the Lights Down Low part and I was like, I think that's the part we need to do more. And then we rewrote the whole thing, and then that's how the song happened, basically. I can't imagine the song being called Black Ink. It would have been such a different song. But the Ooze came last, actually. The Ooze were, this chorus doesn't feel done. How do we elevate this moment? And then I think it came from like so silly. I'm so tiny. Nat is literally like 7 feet tall. We're like dancing around with the Ooze were just so fun. It just came out of this like eruption of excitement of how do we bring this to another level after the chorus? And that's where they came from.
The production of that song is also sick. Like
Thanks, man.
when I forgot what they call it, but like when the scents go down, like
low.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's really interesting how I give Nat all the credit. I think he did something like 45 different productions for that song.
Gosh.
It's a true story. Because at first it was just fully stripped. And I remember at the time, our whole team was just saying, this doesn't feel quite it. And they were like, maybe we bring it to a different producer. And Nat was like, hell no, we're not bringing it to a different. And so he literally did a full electronic version. He did all these different versions and ended up what you hear now that has lasted was sort of this in the middle version with more percussion and some little elements of synths and stuff. It was just at the time, how do we make this acoustic song feel a little more modern? And that's what ended up happening. But I'll never forget some of the versions. There was one that sounded just like that Jack U. Bieber song at the time.
Where are you?
Yeah, exactly. He had done this whole. It's so crazy how something kind of gets solidified. But at the time, it could have been so many things if you didn't make a certain decision. So I think lesson is to just follow your gut, and we followed our gut with what ended up being the final production.
Has that happened with a lot of your songs?
Oh yeah, totally. I rarely is it something that is completely the same and it comes out in a month or something. It evolves over time. And sometimes songs of mine take 3 years to come out. So it's really interesting how the initial demo can really become something totally different.
I think people connect a lot with the stories of songs.
Yes.
Your story of proposing to your wife seems like a really great story to say publicly. But at the time, people weren't very supportive of that. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the truth. It was an interesting time because I think there were certain people I worked with that really loved the mystery pop star idea, which I totally get because it works. You know, as a society, we want to see some of these people, you know, who are they dating? We want to know all the ins and outs, but also want to be on the outside. And I've just I can't lie at all. There's no way I can't do it. And so it felt weird to not tell the story of this song. And it was one of the first times I ever just said no to them saying, don't reveal your marriage and don't reveal that you're with somebody. And I just said, how can I not tell the story of this song? if I'm at these radio stations, what am I supposed to say? It's just, yeah, I wrote this song. You know, it just doesn't feel authentic to not express where it came from. So that was the first time I did that.
Also coming from a time where like even in Nickelodeon, it's like you can't put out music. This is kind of the first time where you're like, hey, I'm putting my foot down. This is important to me.
Yes.
And it probably helped a lot. Like not only like with your life, not only with your mental health, but also the song. Probably pushed the song like crazy.
It changed everything. Changed everything in my life. And I was such a people pleaser before it. And of course that's a part of me, but I was afraid to do the wrong thing or follow my own gut or say, maybe these people don't know better than me. You know, I think when you're at a young point in your career, you listen to only the wisdom that you feel, and that's good to be. Listening is important, but putting yourself and your art first and communicating with those people rather than just doing what they say is also important. You have to put your heart in it, and if you're not, and just like we said with Rags, if they hadn't have collaborated with who I was, I don't know if it would have lasted. And so it was a big lesson to really collaborate and communicate rather than just listen to what they said.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How has that impacted the rest of your career? Like have you had to walk a fine line between like my way versus like listening to others in that capacity?
Absolutely. I think it became less of just, I think I've become a better listener, which is important because then I can really communicate with my collaborator. And it is a collaboration rather than the listening at that point was not even listening. It was just doing what someone said. You know what I mean? It wasn't actually hearing it. It was just, oh, you say to do this, you're probably right. Rather than why do you think that's right? And how can we make it right for both of us? And so that's been, ever since then, my whole MO. That's what I love doing. I love collaborating. I love making sure that every single thing I do is a connection of whoever's involved rather than just what one person wants.
For sure.
Yeah.
I want to connect because I don't want to like just jump all over the place to different parts.
So I'm listening.
What happens next in the story after Lights Down Low?
What happens next after Lights Down Low? Which part of the story do I tell? After Lights Down Low, it was amazing because I both had so much came into my life that was incredible. So many dreams because of this song
because it was being pushed a lot all over, right?
Yeah, it took 2 years from the start of the song coming out until it was at its peak on the radio and all of those places. It was such a long process.
So it didn't get pushed right away at all.
No,
in fact,
none.
Nobody was playing it at the beginning. Nobody believed in the song at the beginning.
No, and there were people I worked with at the time that really understood the song and got it, but it took 6 months for it to even get to a place where people were starting to hear it. And then my friend Nash jumped on the song.
Yeah.
And that was a really big turning point too. He had just had I Hate You, I Love You at the time. And we went on tour together and we pushed the song together. And I give him a lot of love and credit for just really bringing it to a new level and embracing it with me. And so honestly, I think at that point, that was literally already a year into it basically. And then yeah, it kept going. It was one of the longest. I don't know if I'll ever have a song like that again that takes 2 years to get to its peak. But it was an incredible journey, and it taught me that I went to 180 radio stations. I was just in all these stations, hanging out, playing the song. We shook so many hands. It wasn't just a viral number thing. It was really just connecting with so many people, which was special. I think we lose that these days.
Definitely.
But what's next after that? I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question. That was directly next after that.
Yeah,
that's the best way to say it.
The song does super well, and it sounds like that. It took a while. Those are my favorite songs. The songs and my favorite stories are the times that like songs don't do well at first, and then they just start connecting like crazy, and over time, it's become a part of you in a sense.
Oh yeah,
and it's really interesting because I just feel like this idea of belief in yourself is a big part of your story, because every single time I look at a part of your story, it's this is what I'm going to do. People may not get it at first, but I'm going to keep going with it, and eventually they might. But if they don't, I'm going to get it, and that's all that matters. Wow. I really connected with that.
That means a lot, man. I feel very seen by you saying that, so thank you. Appreciate it.
Amazing. That. So Lights Down Low comes out, does super well. Start going on tour with it. What is the next song that you felt people really connected with?
Love Me Less with Quinn 92. I think that was the next one. And it was really cool because that was the first song with my friend Ahmad Royal, who since I've done Blueberry Eyes, Love Me Less, Checklist, Stupid in Love that's out now.
They've done all those
He
songs?
did all those songs with me, Ahmad and
gosh.
I, and many other writers. But Ahmad, he's been the consistent, basically most of my Color Vision albums. So he's been a part of so many songs. But that was the first one together that we kind of just experimented. Somehow we connected. We were on tour with Nash together for the Lights Down Low stuff. He and I were openers. And we just loved each other. I just got his vibe. I was like, let's work together again. And he did this song with me, and Roger, of course, who's amazing, has done like all these number ones for Jack Harlow, and he's great. It was just us in their house. Crazy. They're one of the best musicians of all time. And so just the three of us would make all this music. We were just making nonstop music in their basement. And Love Me Less was the first one. And a great example of what you just said, the feature process at the time, there were so many options. The label wanted so many people. And my friend Quinn92 heard the song. He was working with them and he's like, could I try a verse on this? Like, I really love this song. And I was like, yeah, sure. And nobody thought that he would be the guy. And I think because we just got each other and we were really close and he's the most humble, wonderful person, it just connected with the fans. And that's what I've learned. If it doesn't connect with the fans, it doesn't really matter what all of the powers that be say. So the fans really made that song. And I think that was the next one that really connected and also had a little heart in it. It was very vulnerable. It had a real story underneath it, even though it was a very like boppy pop song. I've learned that if the story isn't there, it's probably not going to connect.
Tell me the story.
Ooh, okay. I will tell you the story. So at the time, I had just started dating my wife and we got married very quickly. And I had an ex-girlfriend. We're all good now. I give her love. But at the time, my wife is from England. And at the time, we didn't have a great breakup, me and this ex. She just wasn't the one. I hope she finds the one. And obviously, I've been with my one for like 9 years. Mm-hmm. But at the time, she called me and she said, I'm going to get your wife deported. And I knew she didn't mean it. But in that moment, I was like, don't take out our relationship. You don't even know this person. And this is a way bigger deal to her. And she was like, you're right. I don't mean it. She said it in that moment. But even her saying it, I did mention it to my wife. And,
wow,
freaked my wife out. Like we had just started being together. It was in the first year of us being together.
Wow.
And we're getting married. I don't remember if we were married or we were getting married. And man, she was like, you don't understand what it feels like I've been in this country for 10 years, but like that is the scariest thing someone can say to me. This is my home. And why would she do that? So I wrote this song because it was like, I hope you don't love me less because of my past, things I can't help, or the people I've been with before you, the skeletons in my closet, whatever. It's like, I can't help who I was before you. And that was where the core of the song was. Like, I hope that you're the love of my life. I don't even love me less because of this.
Yeah.
And then we made it a boppy pop song. But I do think the best pop songs always have a very raw understory. And that was the next one that connected because of that story. So again, all love to that ex. I hope she's doing great. I think she's doing great. But I know at the time it was a little contentious to talk about because it was very fresh at the time. Definitely. So yeah, but thanks to her for inspiring the real life drama of that moment. And now we're great. And so it's cool.
You write so many songs.
So many songs.
What's your process to write music?
I feel like the most consistent, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Most consistent is I have like a list of titles that I want to write. I get in a room with other great writers. We just sort of either start from melody.
Do you have in a notebook or like a notes app?
A notes app. Nice. I do have a notebook too. I'm trying to be more physical too, but I do have a notes app. And then I just do little voice memos whenever they come to me. Sometimes at 2 a.m, I'm just like, I have to do this. I won't remember it. So that's where it starts. Usually these little nuggets, we call them. And then I just get in the room and expand on what feels right for that room that day. And then that's how it happens.
The most annoying time is when you have like this really great melody idea and you're like, oh, I'll record that in 10 minutes. And then
you forget it. You have to do it in that moment. Even if it ruins your night's sleep, you have to get up and do it. I've learned, I go in the bathroom, I'm just like, la, 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 la. And don't wake up anybody.
That's classic. How do you keep like organized all the voice? Because there's so many voice memos, right? Do you title them or like name
title them?
I
title them. Yeah. Okay. It's funny because some sessions are so smooth. You'll write a song in like 30 minutes and other sessions I am scrolling through. I'm like press each one, just seeing if there's something, and you don't always get it. Of course, every day is a different experience, but yeah, I'm very disorganized with that stuff. Crazy enough.
When you come up with the melody, is it usually like a concept first, then a melody?
More often than not, yes. That's usually because I like to. Where's the core of the story to start? There have been times where the melody comes first, but more often the ones that really work, that story is the first thing. What is the story I want to tell? And then how can I expand on that?
How mathematical are you usually? Because I've talked to some songwriters who are like the most mathematical people I've ever seen. And they focus so much on how do we get this to be the catchiest thing ever with like the most general audience. Do you usually just go with your heart most of the time?
Yeah, I just go with my heart. Those guys probably those guys probably are he's crazy successful. But for me, I just go with my heart. That's what it's my number one thing, to just make sure that it's authentic, and then I put heart into it, whether it's for me or for another artist or group. And that's the consistent. I don't know theory. I just write songs and go from that heart. That's my most consistent for sure.
So many, it's crazy to me how many art, because I took music theory, but I don't know theory.
Sure.
And it's crazy to me how many artists who are successful don't know music theory, don't know how to read music. It's amazing.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite things about music is you don't need to know it in order to write music. In fact, something I've noticed is the more theory you know, it actually kind of limits you.
Yeah, I think I work with a lot of people in a room that do know theory, and I think it's a good collaboration to sometimes have those people to figure out on the chord side, et cetera, what feels interesting. But I do like that I just go off of what feels right. And the ones that feel right, especially if someone's playing something, maybe they speak theory way better than I do. And then I say, what was that? And they're like, oh, but if you feel it and they know what it is, and then you find it together, it usually becomes something more magic, because I don't know what's happening and you know what's happening. And suddenly maybe you didn't hear the magic in it because you know what's happening too much, or you know how many songs have that chord structure, et cetera. There's that mathematical side, I'm sure works, but for someone who's far less, into that, it just, I still feel the magic. I never want to lose that feeling of magic with music. And I think that if I knew theory, it might affect me like that,
For sure. You have Lights Down Low, Love Me Less. What would you say is the next song that has that like cool story that also connected with people?
Probably Blueberry Eyes. Yeah, Blueberry Eyes felt like the next one after that, at least in my brain. And obviously just, also changed my life. Shout out to Suga. And just, it just felt so new, it felt so exciting that the story of us meeting was very natural. And then...
Yeah, let's start with, tell me about how you wrote that song first.
Yeah, I was with Ahmad and Roger. We were writing everything at their house. And I remember Michael Pollack, who's an incredible songwriter. If you don't know already, I'm sure you know him.
I saw a video of him playing on stage with Billy Joel, and then the next year, Billy Joel plays on stage while he accepts the Grammy with Miley Cyrus for Flowers. It's just crazy.
He might be, to me, I've worked with incredible songwriters. He's one of the best of all time, in my opinion.
Amazing.
There's something when you're in a room with him writing, it just feels like he is a cut above the rest. There's magic to him, and he knows it, and I'm sure, and I adore him. And so it was me, him, Ahmad, and Roger. We're at their house writing the song. And I remember at the time, my wife has these beautiful blue eyes, and I said something to him in the moment that I really will never forget, where I was like, I really want to do something that's sort of like fruity, like blueberry eyes, strawberry skies. Those were the first words I said. And he was like, cool, let's do that. And he goes to the piano, he starts it, we start doing it. That was it. That was it. It was really more of like, I don't even know if this is good, but can we try this? Like, my wife has these blue eyes, and man, he just brought the magic right away, and we just dove in.
It's not like a quick song to write then.
It was one of those, I don't even know how many hours, but once we were in the flow, there was no stop. It was just flowing, and Roger's at the keys and Michael's at the keys, and we're doing things that don't feel traditional in pop song structure.
It felt a bit jazzy when I was listening to it.
Super jazzy. There was some theater influence, like the pre is like, I'm holding my breath, wondering when. It just felt like this anticipation to the chorus, felt very theatrical. And it was just an amazing day of writing that song. I finished it, and I remember it was so kind of out of left field that nobody at the time really heard it as a single. They were all like, oh, cool song. I don't know. It feels a little different. So, and I was like, I don't know. I love it. And my mother-in-law loved it the most. She was like, that's my favorite song I've heard that you've done for Emily. And I was like, oh, let me remember that. And then I remember I met Suga in Korea. He asked me to be on his project. And it was amazing for August D. And then I just sent him a few songs on my project, including the song New Life and Blueberry Eyes. And I really didn't expect him to choose Blueberry Eyes, because August D, his project, is very dark and rocky. So I was like, maybe I need to make a song that's really like dark and rocky. And he chose Blueberry Eyes. I was like, wow, this is definitely not what I expected. Like, so sweet and pop song. And man, I just can't imagine it without his rap on it and his words and his vibe. And it, again, you just like, you can't really plan for that stuff. It just either happens and the universe makes it happen or not, but being open to it. also at the time, everybody was like, should he rap in English? I was like, I want him to rap in whatever is natural for him.
Yeah.
I think any collaboration, you have to really embrace the other artist. And that was what was natural for him. So it's been one of my favorite things to rap his Korean rap and live and everything. And I can't imagine the song without him. So that was cool.
Tell me about how the collab with Suga came about. Like, where did that come from initially? Because one of the most iconic rappers in all of K-pop.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Someone genuinely, I mean this, I'm not just saying this. Someone the other day was like, who's the top rapper that you would want to be on your song? And I genuinely feel him. He's the one for me, and I'm really grateful.
Isn't he also like a really great producer?
Yeah, he's a great producer. He also sent me productions to try when we were talking about, because we did this swap. We were like, I'll jump on one of yours, you jump on one of mine. And so we were exploring what that could be. And he had actually sent me a production at the time to try writing to, which I did, but Blueberry Eyes just ended up being the one. So he's a great producer. Yeah, he's so talented. He's a great guy.
Yeah, how did that collab initially come about?
So we were talking about it earlier, but Jungkook sang one of my songs on a live stream years ago and really blew me away. And I got into BTS and their music. And he and Suga they added like Love Me Less to their playlists. And I would just like tweet something like, thank you guys so much for the love on this song. You know, anything at the time when someone's supporting you, you want to give love back. So I was doing that. And I went to Korea for the first time. And it was a really amazing experience. I had never had a show like sell out in a minute before. You see people tweet about that kind of stuff or whatever. And I was always like, I don't know if that's real. And I legitimately looked to the website and it was broken. Like you couldn't buy tickets.
Wow.
And that was a really like mind-blowing experience. So I go there for the show and I was supposed to meet both of them, but Jungkook got really sick that day and was like in the hospital or something. And obviously he's okay. But I was like, oh no, I hope he's okay. This was like an hour before I'm supposed to meet them. And they said, well, Suga's still good. Are you good to meet Suga? And I was like, of course, I would love to. And it's interesting to think about. I don't know if that day would have been the same if both members were in the room, because it allowed Suga and I to just really get to know each other. And then we unlocked this love for basketball. And I brought him to his first basketball game in the States at the Lakers.
That's amazing.
And, I mean, I think it's just a testament to just being who you are. You know, I don't really care about any sports but basketball. And how bizarre that the connective tissue was that his name means shooting guard. Suga means shooting guard. And that he's that into basketball. I didn't know any of this, but that conversation came about. We connected on a human level. And then that's how all the collaboration started in that same room.
You said he'd never been to a basketball game?
Never been to, and it blew my mind. I was like, man, your name is shooting guard? You've never been to an NBA game? Like, if you come to LA, I'll take you to an NBA game. Like, why not? And so he did, and that was awesome. But in that room, that same day, he asked for me to be on the August D project, which was a total surprise. So honored that moment. I was looking around the room like, wow, this is crazy. I had no expectations. That's my other motto. Like, don't go into any room having an expectation. Just be present and see what happens. And that was a great example of, wow, blew my mind.
That's really good advice. In general.
I still do it. Like, I don't walk onto any stage thinking the show is going to be amazing, because sometimes the ones that you build up in your head, they end up being the ones that you don't feel best on. Like on an arena stage, sometimes if you build that up, it's not going to feel magic, you know? So the no expectation thing has been really healthy for my life.
Yeah, the song he sent to you, I looked into it. Burn It.
That's the one Burn It. That's the one I ended up doing.
That song is great. Like the production on that song is crazy too.
Amazing. Yeah, I love that song.
And
we just performed it for the first time and it was unbelievable. It was magic.
And I've heard a lot of your songs now, and they come from this really like lovable, like fun place. And that song had like a different vibe to it entirely. I'm like, oh, we're seeing a different side of Max here.
Oh yeah, and I give him full credit because he had already pretty much fleshed the whole thing out. And he was like, can you just write the chorus? And I want it to be called Burn It. So in my house in New York, just was with my friend Amir, and we just like wrote a bunch of different choruses with that idea. And that was really opened my mind, because I'd love to do a project more in that style. It was really cool to get out there, and there was so much pyro when we performed it live. And I was like, dang, I kind of want this at my shows. Let's do more of this kind of music.
Incredible.
Yeah, bro.
So Max, how does your collab with BTS happen?
It was really natural. I was going to New York, and I saw that the guys were all there at the same time. So our teams talked to each other, reached out. Is there a way we could, hang out and make something happen? And I was missing them by a day, and I was really bummed. I was like, oh, that sucks. At least, we tried. And in the same correspondence, they said, well, we're actually working on our next single. Would you want to try writing for it? I was like, whoa, what? Yeah, of course. I would love to have the opportunity. So they sent me the track for the song, which ended up being Yet to Come. And from LA to New York, I wrote a song on the plane. Like, I went into the bathroom, I'm singing the song, I'm listening to the track over and over again. And I get to New York, And with my engineer, Ryan, we get in my bedroom, record this whole demo, and I sent it off. And then over the next few months, I started writing. I was like, I'll give every opportunity I can for this song if you haven't found it yet. So I write 5 more songs to the same track and another track that ended up being Run BTS. So I'm just writing so many songs with like the best writers in LA. And it was amazing. We're writing so many songs and not hearing anything. I was just like, I hope something happens, but if it doesn't, all good. So about 6 months go by and I don't hear anything. So I just assume somebody else got it, all good. I'm grateful for the opportunity. And I went to see them with my wife at SoFi Stadium for their show for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And I get there and one of the A&Rs, I'm not going to say her name just in case she doesn't want it. She picks us up at the gate and she brings us to our seats and she's like, by the way, congratulations. And I was like, what do you mean, by the way, congratulations? What? She goes, you got your song is on the next project. It's the next single. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And my wife's like, what is she saying? And she's like, I'm not supposed to say it. Don't say anything till tomorrow. But yeah, I just want to let you know the news. And I can't explain being in that stadium, finding that news out, being like, what are you talking about? And experiencing that show with my wife. That was the first time we got to see them live, and my wife got to like experience the beauty of BTS and ARMY and that world. And it was amazing. And I come to find out, I had written all these songs with amazing songwriters. The song that they ended up choosing the part that I wrote to co-write to was the one I did the first one on that airplane by myself from LA to New York in my bedroom. And what a special thing, because again, I don't know, there's a theme in my life of like trying to be more confident with just myself, with being enough, I guess. And that was a really special one that I felt really validated, that just this song that I purely, or at least the parts I did that I sent in, that I purely did by myself, that I didn't know if it was good enough or not, they chose. And that was really nice that I felt very seen and very, very celebrated. And I'm so grateful for it. It's one of my most proud moments to be a part of their world in such a small way.
What did a collab with BTS do for you in your career?
Oh, it changed everything, and I think you started this with the Underdog mindset, and I give Suga so much credit. He just saw me. He just really gave me so much love, and he's such a phenomenal artist and songwriter and a superstar. He could have anybody on his songs. So the fact that he asked me and took that chance on me and really cared about me, I'm gonna get emotional. Was really special because he didn't have to do that, and I felt. That's been a theme in my life, the underdog thing of just keep believing. And when someone like that believes in you in those moments, it's life-changing. And so I give him a lot of love. And, obviously I've always believed in them and I believe in him, and I'm grateful for his support and his love, because I can't even imagine. It's changed my life. The trajectory of my whole life has changed because of them. So thank you to them and their team.
Yeah, it's amazing because you've not only connected with a lot of the K-pop artists, but also with the K-pop fans too. They really embraced you and your music too. Tell me about starting to work writing for K-pop artists, and then also how that's impacted your music too in collaborations.
Yeah, I think it's been, first off, I love it because there's such a deep respect on both ends. Whenever I get to go there and I meet some of the groups and artists and the teams, the A&Rs, there's such a professionalism and a love for music. And I have that so deeply, I feel like that's the base and that's what makes it easy. And I genuinely love the music. And I think that that's not always the case. You need to find the music that you're working on, you have to put your heart into. And so it's interesting because I think we've sort of affected each other. It's been cool to see some of the Korean artists really genuinely come up to me and be like, man, Acid Dreams is my favorite song, or Checklist is my favorite song. These are more deep cuts to most people. And I'm like, wow, you really see my stuff. And so it's cool to see that then people say, can you do some songs like that? Like, can you try writing in that space? So it's like, it's almost my music that I've always been some of my favorite stuff that maybe isn't the main singles ends up being what the artists there want, and then I write in that way, which is already very authentic to me, I guess. So it's like we're affecting each other in such a natural way. And so each one of these songs, I just feel like, for example, Happily Ever After with Tomorrow Together, we were in this room writing that song.
With them?
Not with them. No. With Dwilly, my friend, and Brandon Cobain, we wrote the demo in here. And that song wasn't like, let's make a K-pop song. I never go in like that. That song was just, I don't know what this song is, but I love it. And let's just put as much like joy and love into the feeling of it that we're missing. And so I think that K-pop and Korean artists have allowed me to access that side of my music and myself. So I appreciate that it's affected me in that way. And even Stupid in Love, which is the main song on the album, of course, that just, again, written in this room. My boy Cody was in here and Nolan Sipe, who I did Love Me Less with, and we just felt it in here. And it wasn't like, will this be a song with the K-pop artist ever? It was just, let's just make this song. And then it's cool that naturally someone like Hyunjin gravitated towards it, and it was such a perfect collaboration.
Yeah, that song is having an insane moment right now.
It's so cool because, again, not a song that really anybody in the music sphere believed in. So I'm finding that to be sort of a usual thing with me. It's not necessarily the one that everybody's like, this is going to be the song. And I just believe in it. And then it's beautiful to see the fans believe in it and connect with it. You know?
Tell me about like what it was like. Because I think a lot of people are connecting with that song right now, especially on social media.
Yeah.
There's a dance to it.
Which is awesome. All the fans. Shout out Cam and Ashley Infiniki. Those are the two amazing fan choreographers. And it's awesome that the fans and the community have really made the song. The song is what it is, but without everybody embracing and doing what they do, it wouldn't be where it's at right now.
What has kind of been that trajectory? Like when the dance first came out, when you saw it starting to go viral. Tell me about that.
It was pre the song coming out, which we just didn't expect at all. Again, we had made like a cool filter for it, and I had a friend, Michael Lee, doing a dance, which is also a great dance. So we were sort of trying things, but that just came out of nowhere. Like a month before we started teasing the song, both dances started people just started doing the dances. And then I started doing the dances because it's always been a dream of mine to have a dance that I could do with other people. I've like always seen that space being like, dang, I wish I had a dance that I could just like collab with random people on. And man, it's been one of the most fun experiences to just like hang out and do the dance with people.
And I saw that you're posting so many collabs with other artists.
Yes.
And you're a great dancer.
Oh, thanks, man.
Was it ever intimidating to dance with some of these like K-pop dancing icons and these like dancing icons in general?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been dancing with some far better dancers than I am. And also they're so quick with choreography. A lot of the dancers I've worked with recently, US and Korea, everywhere. But I've started to get the hang of it, and it's also nice because certain places I go, actually people who I think that are going to pick it up way quicker, pick it up as quickly as I do. And it makes me feel a little better. I'm like, okay, we're all in the same, this is okay. I feel a little better about myself.
Broadway world. So
I did. And I mean, again, choreography is my weakness. I love dancing on stage, but choreo specifically has always taken me longer. So this dance and because a lot of times when I do these dance collabs, I do a dance of that person, they do my dance. And so I've had to learn a lot of dances recently too. So it's been very quick. And some of them are so hard. I did one with this group JO1 in Japan. That was one of the hardest dances I've ever learned in like 10 minutes. It was crazy.
You had to learn it in 10 minutes?
Yeah, and they sent me a video and I tried to learn it the day before, but it was so intricate and they taught me on the spot. I don't think it's out yet, but it was but once I got it, I was like, wow, this is magic. I want to do more of these.
Speaking of things coming out, the Stupid in Love music video.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, man.
How was it like filming that with Hyunjin?
So cool. Miles Murphy, my director and really good friend, we basically like live with each other in these hotel rooms. We explore the world, and it was really cool to say, what is this music video? We get to be with her for 2 hours. Like, what should we create when we're with her in Seoul? And we said to each other, let's just explore Seoul. Like, I've been there, that was my 5th time, and I had not seen most of the city. So getting to not only explore the whole city in a different way and like really romanticize a place that I really love, but then to get in the studio with her and get to I didn't know, we'd only met briefly when we started the song about a year ago. So I was like, I hope that we get along well on the set of the music video. And man, it was so fun. It made sense why this song worked with us, because it just was very natural to just sort of have fun on set, giggle, dance, like little sister vibes. It was really cool.
You talked about it earlier, but how was it like collaborating with Hyunjin, and what was it like getting that verse back?
She's such a real artist. I love that. And of course, you know, I don't say that because there are so many wonderful real artists out there, but what I appreciate about her is it's so important for her to be a songwriter. It's so important for her to contribute to the song. And she wrote that verse, of course. And I just love that she's putting her heart into what she does. And I think that's why she was the perfect person to collaborate on this song, because she really cared about it. And I'm so grateful that she's a part of it. I've never really had a lot of female duets. I've talked about this in other interviews. All my duets that pop off are with other guys. It's like two love song guys being like, yeah, we love people. But it was really nice to finally have this like duet female male love song thing that felt really cool for this specific song.
It seems like a lot of artists are a bit resistant of the viral movement of music today.
Sure.
But it also seems like you've kind of embraced that now. Was there like a change for you?
Oh, totally. I, like many other artists, just really felt kind of overwhelmed by TikTok, Instagram, just like socials and how to connect. Because the music is the core. How do you just have fun with the promotion of it, I guess. I was like always just feeling a little boggled down by it. And then finally, shout out to my girl Ella, who's been my social media manager, who I adore. We collaborate on everything you see is her, and she's slaying. Don't steal her away. I love her, please. She's so good. But Ella really unlocked it for me in the last like 5 months. We're just doing these content days with people, and we're just really enjoying it. I hope people feel that joy, because genuinely I'm having a great time with it, which I used to hate. I used to not want to do it, avoid it, stay off my phone. So now that switch, it's cool to see that this song is connecting because we're really leaning in and having fun with that side. And it's hard to tell my friends who are artists, like you got to find that by yourself. It's hard to, I get the people just want to stay off of it because it makes sense. You know, it can make you feel like you're just like promoting and that's all you're doing. But it is cool to see people, again, the fan thing. It's so cool that the fans made the dance, and that's like the connection of the fans is what it comes back to. And these platforms are just tools to connect with those fans who are also sharing their art. And same with the lyric video that I saw on TikTok, and then she did the full lyric video, and that was awesome. So you just got to connect.
When you have music already is a full-time job.
Yes.
Adding in content, that feels like another full-time job on top of it.
Yeah.
Also like family, everything else, health. How have you been able to balance everything in life and still find success in music today? I think it's pretty hard for a lot of artists nowadays.
Yeah. You know, I write everything, and then most of the time I'm writing far less when I'm in promotion mode. But in Korea, for example, I did like 3 session days in like 10 days. So I still am writing, which is cool to remind myself, like, this is the true core. This is why you do this. But the promotion stuff is important. And so I just try to balance it by saying, in this time period, I have a full content day on Thursday, but Wednesday I'm going to spend with my daughter and go to swimming and go to school with her. And then my wife and I are going to go on a date night. Prioritizing your time. Time is the most precious thing, as everyone says, the cliche of it, and really scheduling that out to make sure that I'm present in each thing I'm doing. That's the only way I can balance it. And listening to people in my life who really ground me and let me know if I'm getting too addicted to one thing. Like if I'm doing too much promotion, or if I'm, not doing enough of it, I try to just be trusting of those people.
Your song, It's You, just hit 100 million streams.
Thanks. Yes, indeed, man.
How does that feel?
We did it in this room. It was so cool, man. I literally met Keshi, DM'd him. He came through to the studio in here, and that was just us. That was a very rare song. That we started that song, just us in this room the first day we met, and we wrote that whole song. And then my friend Cody Deer added some beautiful layers to it. But rarely is it just me and the other artist. Often it's other songwriters, etc. And we really just, our friendship kind of blossomed from falling in love through that song. So the fact that it connected in such a huge way, and now it's at 100 million, it's spectacular, man. It's one of my favorites forever.
Yeah, that's a song that I think a lot of people, especially in relationships, are connecting to. I keep hearing like weddings and all these things being played at it.
Wow. Yeah, greatest honor. Whenever I see that, it never gets old.
What songs do you tend to see played at weddings?
It's You, Lights Down Low. My song Butterflies often is played, which is cute. I love that. And I hope that Stupid in Love is sort of like everybody just had a few drinks after the wedding, kind of wedding parting song when you want a little cheeky moment, or down the aisle, whichever, but for some reason I see like everybody's kind of letting loose, the ties are coming off, and you're like, we're not quite to the ludicrous stuff yet, but we're just in the beginning of it, It's the dream for me that people incorporate this music into special moments of their lives. It's like kind of the best bonus of getting to do it.
Speaking of Stupid in Love, you talked about it briefly, but Tell me about where that song came from.
Yeah. The story again is a lot of them about my wife. Ooh, I love my wife. But that song, is we got married in 9 months after our first date. We got engaged in 4 months after our first date.
Oh my gosh.
And at the time, I think everybody in our life was a little worried. They said, "Are you sure? Like, this is really fast." She was the only thing that made sense. There was so much surrounding it that felt kind of crazy, but my feelings for her made sense. And so I still feel that way about her now. I'm still stupid in love with her. And our second date, we were on tour with Fall Out Boy, and she came to the show in Chicago. We had our kiss backstage, and our next date was in Raleigh, North Carolina. I flew her out.
Oh my God.
And so I think everybody was like, yeah, you guys are pretty stupid in love. You know, it's like, they didn't say that, but that's how it felt. And that's the core of the song came from just knowing when you know, and not being ashamed of that, and embracing that feeling.
Let's get married in Vegas. We don't need a guest list. I don't want to think too much.
Yes, sir. We got married at the courthouse in New York. Same feeling of getting married in Vegas, though. It was like, let's just get married. Why not? Let's do it.
I really like the lyrics of that song. That song's really fun.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, again, so much fun in this room with that song.
And you got plaques up of all the songs.
Yeah, there's some plaques up there, yeah.
One of the ones we didn't talk about yet was Butterflies.
Oh, Butterflies, yeah. Sure.
How did that song come about?
Same. In this room, there's a picture of a butterfly next to the bathroom. You went to the bathroom?
Yeah.
I remember coming in this room. It was my friends Tia, Johnny, and Jake, who are all great. Jake Torrey, Tia Scola, Johnny Simpson. Shout out to the best songwriters. And didn't know what to write about. Saw that, came in here, and I was like, what if we write a song called Butterflies? And boom, that was it. We started writing, and Tia is so sweet. She's so amazing. It was like 3 guys in a room and then a female perspective, which I think is important for any love song. And we were just like, oh man, this is how I felt about my wife again. Ooh, I love my wife. And she just kept saying aw when we would come up with a lyric that felt very sweet. And that was sort of the whole day. We were just trying to make sure that every line felt like, what does it feel like to have butterflies for someone?
Amazing. You've also met a lot of really cool people. I heard that you got to meet LeBron James.
Oh, I did meet LeBron James. Yeah.
What was that?
It was when I was on Nickelodeon. We were doing, I think, Worldwide Day of Play, it's called. And
yes,
they have a lot of celebrity, like, athletes, and Michelle Obama was there, and the Nickelodeon people were there, and we were on different teams. Carmelo Anthony was on my team. We slimed Carmelo Anthony, Logan and I, from Big Time Rush, which was amazing. We had to stand on things and he had to sit. That's how big the height difference is.
Yeah.
But LeBron came up to me backstage. I don't think he knew who I was, but he was just going up to all of the Nick people being like, my kids love you, man. Nice to meet you. And I was like, hey, hell yeah. And his hand was like this and my hand is like this. Nice to meet you, LeBron. So yeah, he, it's iconic. He's incredible. I was honored to meet him in his giant body and my tiny body.
I know we jumped around a bit, but speaking of Big Time Rush, you also went on tour with them.
Yeah, of course. The guys.
Coming from Nickelodeon to then going on tour with them years later. How was that?
It was so healing. I know that's maybe not the thing you'd expect me to say, but I think with a lot of people, you'll start to hear, I'm sure with Nickelodeon and Disney, there's almost a shame that you feel like at the time it's cool, and then you almost feel like you're boxed in. And then when you come back to it and maybe you find different things in your life, I think that it was so beautiful. First off, Kendall just asked me to go on tour in my kitchen. So it came from a place of, yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. And playing the Forum, like sold out Forum, these insane venues that were dream venues with those guys, and celebrating a time that meant so much to us. And then seeing how much it really meant to those fans. Like, I think in your mind, you don't think it means anything to anybody anymore. So to actually go on tour with them and see so many people be so excited about it, and it means something in their heart, it was so healing. It was beautiful, and I felt so connected, and I'm grateful that those fans have stuck with us for so long.
Max, you are someone who has inspired me as an artist, inspired a lot of people out there as fans. What's a piece of advice you have for anyone out there who wants to get into a creative field professionally as a career?
I think finding a way to access your superpowers. What makes you feel insecure? What makes you feel like yourself? And I think sometimes there are things that we all feel we don't want to talk about in ourselves. Maybe that you're a short king or queen, or maybe it could be as simple as that to being obsessed with pop songs. I love pop music, and I think that's not cool to everybody. Not everybody thinks pop songs are cool. They want to be into other genres of music. Sure. So I think that's a superpower. If you love something, if you're passionate about something, don't run away from it, because not everybody is passionate about that thing. So the best advice I can give is if you love rock, if you love pop, if you love any creative field, if you can't stop drawing because you go home at night and you have to sketch, I don't have that in me. If you have that in you, dive into that. Don't run away from it. And if it doesn't feel like work, but you want to just do it all day, then that's a superpower. So lean into those and don't be afraid of them.
Incredible. Yeah. Oh, I just want to say, like, as someone who's been following your career for a while now, and like going back and watching interviews you've done and seeing the success that it's led to today is so inspiring.
Thank you, brother.
So I want to say thank you for continuing to believing in yourself, because it's given me inspiration for myself to keep believing in me.
That means so much, brother. Same. It's amazing to see. I love your content, because anybody that's an artist loves to see someone really see them and see their journey. And you have an incredible knack of really getting in the weeds, like you said earlier, and celebrating the journey of somebody and making it make sense to how much it takes and how much you have to believe in yourself. So thank you for saying that, and thank you for doing what you do.
That means the world. Thank you, Max.
Of course, brother.
Is there anything that you'd like to promote?
Love in Stereo, new album out now. Features Stupid in Love.
It's a great album. Highly recommend checking it out. Really, I listened to it on the way here. I'm listening to it on the way back.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's really it. And I hope more shows this year. If I'm coming to a city near you, I hope you can come to a show, and I'll crowd surf and, take care of my small body in that audience. But, let's do it.
Incredible. Well, Max, this has been such an honor.
Such a pleasure, brother.
Such an honor to be talking to you. Hopefully, it will lead to many more conversations together.
Yes, sir. First of many. Thank you, brother. Thanks, guys.